All right, welcome everyone to the Show Me My Future virtual college exploration program for all Missouri students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see you, nor can they hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at moacac.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website, moacac.org. So now I'd like to turn it over to our presenters for the Multicultural Guide to a Successful College Career. You're on mute.
Sorry, technology difficulties these days. I was saying, thank you for that introduction and good evening. Welcome to this panel presentation titled Multicultural Guide to a Successful College Career. My name is Luisa Maldonado Munoz. I'm a multicultural recruitment counselor for Southeast Missouri State University. I'm also alum from Southeast, graduated in 2017, and I'm gonna let my fellow colleague presenters introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our presentation.
My name is Antonio. I am an assistant director of admissions at Maryville University, and I'll be facilitating as well today. You're on mute, Julio.
I think this is a cool game we can play. Let's see how many times we mute ourselves and catch ourselves. As I was saying, good evening and buenas noches. My name is Julio Trujillo, where I am the Associate Regional Director of Admissions for Monmouth College.
So this presentation is geared towards kind of a resource for you to navigate your path in college. Truly, we have no one perfect checklist as you go through college to make it what's going to be successful for you. But here are some quick takeaways that we're presenting on that. I will be touching base on why you should be considering involvement and why that's important for you to be engaged on campus. The main thing, of course, the quick takeaways within that is, of course, always ask, no matter if there's a need that you need to be addressed. Of course, if you have any interest that you want to pursue, and of course, following up with that, either joining an organization or just becoming involved in your community. So the first benefit I would say in being involved that kind of pays off is, of course, that you're building a new networking community. So you as an incoming freshman, you're leaving behind family and friends, and so you probably might be in the look for a to meet new individuals in college. And I will say being involved or signing up for an organization or a club is probably the quickest and easiest way for you to meet new individuals that have similar interests, goals, and values as you. But not only that, those people that you meet will become lifelong connections that you would make and potentially be with you throughout the rest of your career in your life. So really helps you reestablish that sense of belonging like you had at your high school and your community, but now helping that transition into the college setting. So that's one of the first benefits that you could find. Second to that, of course, potential of scholarships. Who doesn't like extra money in their pocket change, right? So you might still looking to continue that research process of scholarships. It never stops during your senior year. You always want to continue that. And I will say being involved has a potential for you to receive awards from the memberships that you have. Some clubs and organizations incentivize membership by having active members participate in their club, and at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, they award scholarships. But even some institutions and universities award scholarships just based on the involvement you had in college. I can honestly say here at Southeast, we award more than 2,000 endowed and private scholarships. And these are base funded through our donors and community members. And one of the things that they really look into is the extracurricular that student has had, what type of leadership engagement they had on campus. And so it never hurts to check out different clubs and organizations that you can join so that you can potentially expand your scholarships. Another benefit is, of course, discovering your strengths, talents, and passions. You might have already had some passions and interests in high school, but there wasn't anywhere that you could express those. College really becomes that platform of what you can make it into what you put into it. And basically, you could try as many different things. You never know what you might find that you might find of interest, that you could potentially grow in. I can honestly say when I started as a freshman during my undergraduate year, had a international student as a roommate. She was from China, and she really opened my eyes into what the culture of Asia was, that I eventually signed up for a Chinese class. So you never know where that's going to lead you with engagement. That class eventually turned into becoming an international student ambassador here at Southeast. So definitely explore what your interests are. College is really what you make it, and it's not like in high school that you kind of have a structure. College has a flow, so you can definitely try out different things while you're making that a meaningful experience for you. Of course, another benefit to that is, of course, it helps you expand your learning experience outside of the classroom. So you're getting a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, a lot of factoids in class. But really, for most of us, I know for me at least, you can take that knowledge, but until you actually apply it, you don't completely understand the context of it. And so being involved on campus in any club organization really allows you to test the water, so to speak, before you actually get into your career or field within that. And so it helps you build skills that will help you through your career life. I know employers like to call them soft skills, going into that leadership skills that you may have. And so really being in a club organization, you can even, if you feel like you are up for it, then you can sign up for like executive board that really test the waters for that. And so definitely take advantage of learning and expanding that, applying that knowledge outside the classroom. And then this last benefit, of course, kind of builds from the last one. It's never too early to build and enhance your resume. Even starting as a freshman, your participation and your involvement you've had in college, you'll take that with you even after you graduate. And I will say within that employer, some of the things that they're looking in that resume is, of course, what you put into your college experience. And one of the first things they're probably going to ask you about is probably going to be your involvement and engagement in college. And so they'll look at those extracurriculars. So definitely take advantage, if you're not sure of where to start, of career services office in your college of choice. That's kind of, I would say, the first recommendation of a stepping stone to kind of see what connections are out there to connect you with the campus community or even outside the community. And so definitely those are like the top 5 benefits that I would say being involved pays off. And I'm going to turn it over right now to Julio, who will touch more on the self-advocacy and the resources you can find on campus.
Thank you, Dulce. I'll go ahead and be covering some of the information about self-advocacy, resources that you may find on campus. I'll also be going over a list of potential barriers that or obstacles that you may need to overcome. Certainly, this is not the only items on the list that could be potential barriers. You yourself know yourself better than anybody else. So these are just some of the things to look out for. Next slide. So now that you are about to enter college, and possibly even now your senior year as well, you're going to have to begin to advocate for yourself. In other words, you're going to want to speak up when you need something. Oftentimes, many students have grown accustomed to having a teacher or a counselor help them out prior to them needing or knowing that they need some assistance. This is about to be different, and you're going to need to learn to speak up. And more importantly, you're going to need to learn to not to accept no. I know that's a huge concept, right? But just because you hear the word no doesn't necessarily mean that's it. There are processes in place in the different colleges and universities. You just need to know the rules. So first thing, when advocating for yourself, you want to pay attention to your transition into college, especially true for first-generation students. You've never experienced this before. So what is this whole new change of life and lifestyle going to mean for you? Does it mean that you're going to be able to have all the freedom that you want so you can go off campus and party? And well, I'm not going to say no, because you're going to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? But you have to keep in mind that with a lot more freedom comes a lot more responsibility. There's not going to be anyone to wake you up in the morning to get to class on time. If you miss class, guess what? The instructors may care, but chances are they're not going to be calling you to say, hey, Johnny, Julia, you're late to class. Why don't you, come in? Second of all, and this is something that I had to learn the hard way, there are academic support services in many different college and universities campuses. Sometimes it can be called under different names. It could be tutoring, it could be peer mentoring, peer tutoring, study group, so forth. But I say that I had to learn this the hard way because in high school, and yes, I know it's been many years, but I thought that college is going to be the same way that high school is. I basically did the bare minimum to get the grades. I didn't have to really take any books home because at the time I had a really good memory. So I was able to recall most of the information, and I thought, well, sure, college is going to be the same way. It's not. It's a lot more reading, a lot more research, note-taking, papers, term papers. You may kind of be used to that already, but it's at a whole nother level. The other thing that you want to make sure that you self-advocate for is that you always meet with an academic advisor or your academic counselor, because some of your friends may tell you, hey, take this class with me. It's going to be really cool. We can help each other, get through it. It may not have to do anything with your major. And again, personal experience, it added one more semester to my graduating within that 4 years. So imagine back then having to tell my parents, I'm not graduating just yet. I took the wrong classes. And I couldn't blame anybody but myself because I did not check with my academic advisor. The other thing that you're going to want to focus on for yourself is this is going to be an entirely new place. A lot of students are actually going out of state. All right, so you don't know what your community is going to be like. So any chances, any opportunities that you have to join any multicultural support organizations, student organizations, please do so. You want to also find a safe place for you. And what I mean by a safe place is, we know that sometimes we have this persona where we don't want to let anything affect us, but you need a safe place to let your guard down and just breathe, to be amongst people that you feel comfortable, that you feel safe with. The other thing, and I can't stress this enough, is self-care while you're away from home. Yes, nobody's gonna, say it's bedtime now, that's on you, but keep in mind, lack of sleep will affect your health, will affect your mental well-being, and it can cause many other issues. So enough about that. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the 10 things that I think can hinder your success. Again, this is not the be-all, end-all list, but as I was mentioning earlier, you don't want to overextend yourself. Yes, it's cool to join this club and that club, but then you're not focusing on your academics and what are you actually in school for, right? So don't overextend yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to do some really good time management skills, because these are the skills that are then going to be able to help you get a job later, because you say, I juggled all of these different things. This is where I learned time management. A lot of students also use this opportunity of going to school to party. A lot of my friends went away to school and they didn't take academics seriously, and they ended up flunking out within their second semester. Don't do that. You are paying a lot of money, your family's paying a lot of money, so do yourself a favor and do take this seriously. The opposite, I've worked with so many students who leave the Chicago metro area and they become homesick. And every weekend they're going back home to be with their family, to be with their friends. And that's okay, but I challenge students for the first 8 weeks of classes, yes, call home, let them know that you're okay, but don't go back. And the reason for that is you want to be able to engage on campus, because as Dulce mentioned, the more engaged you are on campus, the more resilient, the more resourceful you're going to be, and you're going to be able to grow and mature. The other thing, and this is something that I had to deal with myself, when I started to have my grades drop, I began to get depressed and feel like I couldn't do this, that I had nobody else. And oftentimes I didn't ask for help because I felt like if I'm in college, I should know things already. Don't do that. You don't have to prove to anybody that you do this on your own, because there's a quote somewhere, and I forget it, where it comes from or the complete quote, but nobody ever succeeded on their own. So next slide, please. Again, I've talked about this already. Too much sleep, not enough sleep is very important. Most importantly, when you go to your campus, you're going to go through a process called orientation. Very important that you ask questions as to where are the offices, where are the places, the resource centers that you can go. Not only know where the library is, but where the tutoring center is, where the academic support services is, who's in charge of being able to get you the additional resources that you need. Oftentimes students who have an IEP don't want to mention that at the college level because they thought that they're beyond that now. It's okay to ask for help. You need to know who to go to self-advocate for the resources that you need. Other things, and I'll try and wrap this up quickly. Oftentimes, many multicultural students, they have this dream of going to college. They're barely able to afford tuition, and then they're hit with the cost of textbooks or other tools that, necessary workbooks and lab fees and so forth. Number one, if you need to take out a student loan, take out a student loan. Don't let that be the only reason you can't get your education. You'll be able to pay that back once you have a career. So don't be afraid of the student loans. The trick is learn to be responsible with what you borrow. And lastly, always very important, make sure that you have your goals very clearly defined, because there used to have, again, another saying, if you don't know where you're going to be able to end up getting lost. So thank you. Antonio?
So, hey, everyone. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about programming and Scholars Program. I'm talking in particular about Maryville University Multicultural Scholars Program. If we can go to the next slide, we'll see that Maryville's a small liberal arts, roughly about 2,800 students. So fairly small student to faculty ratio is 14:1, average class size about 15. But we do have a clear diversity and inclusion mission. By honoring diversity and exploring social justice, we allow our students to celebrate their traditions. So become a more inclusive campus. I am a firm believer that you'll learn as much as you do inside or outside of the classroom as you do inside of the classroom. I know those I mentioned, having a Chinese friend and getting embedded in the Chinese, gaining Chinese interest and taking classes in Chinese in previous presentations that we have done together. But our mission ultimately is to deliver and develop future leaders that would allow to better our community and our surrounding. Or if you come from out of town and you go back to town, just make sure you are a future leader in the town that you are going to be ending up at. If we go to the next one, it gives you a better outline on how Maryville University looks at diversity. So our plan is to strive to create a faculty and a staff that actually shows our actual population or reflects our population of our students. Therefore, our students are more inclined to seek the resources and feel that faculty and staff are a little bit more approachable. As we know, we are guilty of approaching those who look like ourselves quicker than we are to approaching someone that doesn't look like us, right? So how we manage to create a more inclusive campus, and what are some stuff that universities do to develop diversity plans, right? So we create cultural engagements. Those are cultural events. So for example, we have a week long that we have international food in our student center, where actually our student club and organizations actually prepare the food for our students to taste. Therefore, they get embedded into a different culture and they engage with a different culture. So this develops cultural education, right? So we do have panels, book clubs, and diversity dialogues within our campus, to which our students are able to learn from other cultures, as well as engage with students that do not look like themselves. This leads to cultural development, which is a multicultural scholars program that we have developed through our university, which allows close to 36 students, incoming freshmen every year, to gain not only scholarship, but also get a diverse education throughout their 4 years, which have a couple of requirements that I will touch base on later on. So then campus environment. So we do climate assessments, surveys, and open dialogues. Whenever something is going on, whether it be outside of our campus or inside of our campus, we want to make sure that our students are having not only a good time, but also a great experience while they're in school. And then we develop community partnerships, and these are organizations, non-for-profits, businesses within our specific community that allow our students to go in and dive into their experience, as whether it be as a minority business owner or whether it be as a minority organization. A lot of our students who go out there and actually help and get engaged with our community, which is a huge part of what Maryville stands for, assisting and helping our community as well. If we go to the next slide, this is a snapshot of majority of our clubs and organizations that we have within our specific campus. So for example, we have the Hawaiian Asian Pacific Islander Association, and every year they do an event where they do a taste of Hawaii, which is a diverse, believe it or not, even though it's part of the US, as we know, it's a different culture. So they bring all their food, all their events, dances, they do a haka and all that stuff, which is super cool. And students are able to explore a different community or a different culture. We do have majority of the clubs and organizations that represent a diverse group of people, as well as if we don't have the one you want to participate, you can always create your own. It has been proven that students who are actually engaged and are part of organization are 70% more successful than other students who are not engaged or are not participating on campus. So we always, strongly encourage you guys to get involved and participate in on-campus event. You're technically paying for them, and a lot of them come with free food, free giveaways, and as well as free t-shirts. They're not really free. They're included in your tuition and fees. You just do not read the fine line. So if you want to get the best out of it, make sure you participate in all of them. If we go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about actual Multicultural Scholars Program. I know Dulce mentioned that some clubs and organizations actually have a scholarship attached to it. We have a Multicultural Scholars Program that actually has a couple different options for scholarship as well. And if we go to the next one, we'll actually talk about the purpose of the Multicultural Scholars Program, right? So we strive to enhance the student population by developing students holistically, right? So this allows our students to get a holistic experience, whether it be inside or outside the classroom. And we make sure that our students are actually involved socially as well as they will perform better in the classroom, right? It also allows our students to assist students to build relationships by participating in program with mentorships as well. So we have a mentorship program within the Multicultural Scholars Program, where juniors and seniors who will take up in the challenge and assist incoming freshmen, as well as freshmen who are developed or transitioning into their sophomore year as well. So it's kind of a buddy system where you just get advice from someone who has walked, who has been in the same shoes that you are, being in the specific program. It also allows to develop scholars that promote that promotes promote and support the mission of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion by creating and promoting an inclusive environment. So this allows our students to feel more welcoming on campus, if that makes a little bit more sense. And then if we go to the next slide, it talks about our multicultural scholarship opportunities. So we are an all-inclusive campus. So multicultural scholarship opportunities are for everyone and anyone who's willing to actually go through the program. We do have a competition attached to it, and we award close to 36 multicultural scholarships per year, which is all the way up to 75% off tuition, which is super great, actually. We also have a couple of external donor scholarships that are also attached to the Multicultural Scholars Program. We have the Donald Suggs Scholarship, which is full tuition, full room and board, and those are for African-American students in the St. Louis area. And then we also have the Lombardi Scholarship, which is 50% off for African-American students. We award one of the Donald Suggs and 2 Lombardis. Those are a competition attached. When you hear the word competition and the word interview for scholarship will pop up, let's be realistic. We know you guys are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. It's more of a conversation. So you'll just meet with someone who has previously been awarded a scholarship, as well as a faculty of staff. No school is going to do a hard interview because we understand that you guys are very young, and it's not like a job interview by any means, more of a conversation, getting to know you, getting to know if you're a good fit for the university or the actual specific program, right? So if we go to the next slide, we talk a little bit about the multicultural scholars experience, right? So the first year, students get to self-aware and identify. So basically, they get to, illustrate how their talents, strengths, and social group memberships impact how they interact with each other, right? So basically, you do a deep dive to get to know yourself and identify yourself as a person and who you are holistically, and therefore you'll start engaging with some of our clubs and organization, and then you develop what you're really, really interested in, right? And the second one is debunking cultural myth. So the students will identify customer traditions that are associated with various cultural groups, and they'll actually do some research, and at the end of the year they'll actually present it to their peers, which is super nice. And then year 3, they'll develop skills to have difficult conversations. So these conversations that we're having, that you guys are seeing on social media going on right now, they're not easy to have. And then year 3, you actually do a deep dive in how to approach conversations, whether it be with your peers, or if you feel that you are in an uncomfortable situation with someone, how to approach a difficult conversation with that person. And then 4th year, you develop a peer educator to assist with education. So that buddy system. Senior year, you have a mentee, you're a mentor to a mentee, an incoming freshman, and you allow them to follow you around a little bit and learn the ways of the specific university, for example. So our students do a knowledge gain and participating by program composing and facilitating workshop for incoming freshmen. So they do workshops and facilitate programs and organizations for our incoming freshmen. And then if we go to the next slide, you'll be able to see, for example, what are our requirements, and expectations to remain within our specific program. Each university will have, of course, different requirements, but at Maryville, maintaining a 2.5 or higher, meeting with your program coordinator, adhere to student code conduct. So basically behaving and not getting into any problems or circumstances or issues within this specific university. Represent yourself in a positive manner. You get back as much as you put in. So if you actually are doing good things, you'll actually have good things coming back to you. Complete a writing journal. So it's a monthly journal. Complete an e-portfolio. That's just a semester. Those that compose all your journals and activities and events that you actually have participated on. And then participate in the Multicultural Scholars Mentor Program at the end of your during your fourth year, essentially. And if we go to the next one, we should see a couple more expectations and requirements. So attend to Office of Diversity and Inclusion events. Like I mentioned, those events come with free food, free giveaways. So it's always nice to show up. And I know if you are an introvert, we're not going to force you to be part of the board member. You can just show up to the event and be just a general member and just hang out and, listen. And if you want to participate or interject, you can do that, but you can also are more than welcome to just sit in the background. Participate in the scholars competition. So like I mentioned, during the scholars competition, you'll meet with a faculty or a staff and the students have been previously awarded. So students are expected to just go and interview, quote unquote, have conversations with incoming freshmen, potential scholars students. Welcome week reception, which is, trust me, they do a very fat meal, and it's actually very good because I always try to be on campus to go and eat for free. And then attend the Office of Diversity and Inclusion reception, which in our case, it looks like they're going to prom. So everyone gets very nicely dressed, and then they do a huge event where they do awards, as well as it comes attached to an actual fancy dinner at the end. And then if we go to the end, that's my end of my presentation part. These are our contact information. We have quite a few minutes actually left. If you guys have any questions that you guys can put in the Q&A, we're more than happy to actually answer any questions you may or may not have. Any concerns that you guys have while in the application process. We also work in the Office of Admissions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them out in the chat box, please.
And a couple of other points that I wanted to bring up, because as I'm getting older, it takes me a little bit longer to recall them. There are a lot of different resources available to you as a student. Let's say that you are off to college and all of a sudden you don't have enough money for textbooks. You may just want to talk to your professor or the department secretary. They sometimes will loan books to students free of charge. You also now have a great resource in the internet. It's not just for TikTok videos or Snapchat, but there's many different websites that are legit that will allow you to access textbooks online free of charge. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention as well, the idea of private scholarships. Hopefully, you know a little bit about what private scholarships are. And what I mean by private scholarships are those scholarships that are competitions or organizations, companies that give away money. Typical example or prime example of this would be the McDonald Scholarship. You may have heard of also the Burger King Scholarship. Nike has a scholarship. Many different majors have specific scholarships if you're going to study that area. Oftentimes I'm asked, so where do I go to look this up? And the truth is, it's out there. It's on the internet. That's where I found them. Some really good search engines that I would definitely recommend. College Greenlight, fastweb.com. Another really good search engine that I don't want to advertise for them, but it's called myscholarly.com. It gives an opportunity for you to build a profile on this website, and every other week or so, it kicks back information about the scholarships based on what information you put in. A lot of students that I've worked with over the years tend to think that these scholarships are only for incoming college freshmen. And the truth is, it's not. And there are so many different organizations, corporations, companies that are willing to help pay for your education. So don't stop looking for scholarships. And I know the other thing that I get from students is, well, if the scholarship is only $3, maybe maximum of $500, why should I waste my time on those? And I tell them, these are the lower value scholarships that would definitely help you out the most, because like you're probably thinking, well, why should I apply? The smarter student would say, okay, maybe not a lot of students are going to apply for this, and there's a greater opportunity for me to get it. And if you get 2, 3, 5, or 15 different private scholarships in various amounts of up to $500, now that's a pretty good chunk of change, don't you think?
Yeah, another advice is make sure you use the resources on campus. A lot of people are timid, and after the first initial time you step in and you have a conversation with someone, you'll get over it. But just be aware that you're actually paying for those services, and also that staff or faculty actually gets paid to help you. So we strongly recommend that you actually utilize those services. They're there for a reason. They're put in place for a reason. They're put in place to help you and assist you. No college or university wants to see you fail. So there is so many safety nets that the college and universities put out there in order to assist you, that you should not have an excuse essentially to fail or flunk out of college. We say it all the time. We're paid to help you. Just like we're paid to recruit you guys, we're also paid to help you in the process. And in the process, whether it be, assisting you, connecting you with a faculty, making sure, you have better note-taking skills, better test-taking skills, all those workshops that the retention officers put together for you guys, those are essential. And if you always are struggling with someone, there's always someone willing to help you. Just like Julio said, just because I took this class because my friends taught me it would be a great time, it ended up not being a great time because he had to go back. He was a super senior. So, if you want to graduate in 4 years, just make sure you're always talking, whether it be to your faculty advisor, to your counselor, to your actual college advisor, or there's an advisor within their specific program that you're interested in that you also need to communicate all the time. Those people are there to help you. They don't want to see you fail. They want to see you succeed and get out of there. They're gratifying to see you graduate. They don't get happy by seeing you fail. They get happy by seeing you succeed in life. Just make sure you take advantage of all those, and every campus should have something to assist you throughout the process.
And I also just want to quickly add, oftentimes when you are assigned to a faculty advisor, personalities clash. I get it, okay? Just because that one specific advisor, maybe you don't get along so well, that doesn't mean that another professor within that department couldn't serve as your advisor. So never be afraid to, find somebody who you feel comfortable with and talking to, and ask, hey, I have so-and-so as an advisor, but could you be my advisor?
Yeah, going off of that with Julio, I know for me, and as a first generation Latina coming into college, the biggest thing is that I was so overwhelmed that I didn't even know what to ask or where to go. And so definitely use us as the admissions representatives. We're like the gateway keepers to all the information to our institutions. And we just talking to you, having a conversation, we might figure out which department you need to reach out and get you in contact with. But as Julio mentioned, you can always reach out to different faculty. Just like in high school, I know from personal experience, I had those teachers that I knew they had my back, that they're always there supporting me and helping me grow as an individual. You're gonna find the same thing with faculty. Faculty are there for you. And Antonio mentioned this, we are getting paid to help you succeed in your career. So I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, not sure what to ask or where to go, but finding that one individual on campus that you feel like you're connected with, just having a conversation with them can really help you and go a long way. So don't stress too much about it. There's resources everywhere. Just make sure that orientation, I know Julio brought that up, that is like kind of your catch and all for all your doubts and concerns that you may have. So definitely reach out to us. Like I said, each admission counselor or admission representative from that office is essentially like the gatekeeper to that institution. So don't hesitate in reaching out to us. Let us know what questions, comments, concerns that you may have as you navigate that college career.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll turn it back to Stripeskin. I think they have a message for you guys before you guys sleep.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now and take over this share screen. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for this multicultural guide to a successful college career. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We would really appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted by Missouri ACAC, so be sure to sign up for other sessions at moacac.org. And in about a week, you'll be able to find the session's recordings, as well as all of the other session recordings, again, at moacac.org. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.